Alright guys, this is a quick video response to Lambdog76. He put up a video called Unions in the Illuminati. I'll put the link down there. I want to start by saying that I don't see some dark force attacking the populace either. I'm not I'm not the conspiracy theory type, man. But what I do see is some things that I have to accept as fact as I've seen them, and that until I see some solid evidence otherwise, I have to accept. For instance, the concept of unionizing itself is it's pretty socialist. But further than that, every major union that I've come across is a socialist organization. A lot of them are out there drumming for a single party. And the party that they're drumming for, they're drumming for the extreme progressives in that party. And for instance, I was talking to a guy, and he was telling me a buddy of his worked for a local union in Philly, and that 2 weeks before the election, all the guys in the union were told, "Sorry, we don't have any work for you anymore. So you guys are just going to have to go home, unless you guys could get paid your standard union wage if you went down and worked on the insert Democratic candidate's name here." That's not speculation. That happened, It's illegal, but the way they did it, they kind of skirt the rules on that, They were paid union wage to go basically campaign for an extreme progressive candidate, that was going to put their agenda further in place. I believe the school systems have been absolutely hijacked by the teachers union. I agree, not all unions are bad, but at least in concept. But they've kind of outlived their usefulness. As soon as federal laws were put into place to protect workers, at that point, in my opinion, the unions had two choices. They either had to die off because they were no longer necessary, or they had to adapt into a new self-serving organization that basically their goal was power and self-perpetuation. Otherwise, once federal laws were put into place, once OSHA was put in place, those kinds of things, the unions were no longer necessary. Your example where unions step in place of someone who may be a skilled carpenter but not a skilled negotiator. Well, merchant and skilled labor has done fine throughout the history of man without unions. It's the unskilled labor that the unions target. As for skilled labor, I think the unions hurt skilled laborers far more than they help. For instance, I used to work with a guy who was a carpenter, and he worked a second job at Home Depot. I worked at Home Depot while I was in college. And that guy had refused to enter the union. He did his own thing. He was an independent guy, and the unions absolutely drummed him out of business. And I personally know many people who've experienced that very same thing. It's possible that unions in Philadelphia are just more corrupt than everywhere else, but I don't buy that. I think they're all like that. The unions historically have been hijacked by the mob as well, If a worker doesn't have the skill to negotiate his own sales, that's why he hires someone to do that negotiation for him. He doesn't need a union. Unions, in my opinion, have done the opposite. They've gone the other way. For instance, if you want to start a business, you said in one of your other videos you need 200 grand to start a business. Well, a lot of the reason for that is twofold. One, the businesses pushed, like the insurance industry pushed to mandate insurance for your whatever business. And two, the unions pushed for overregulation of that business. So it's kind of twofold. I don't think the unions did it by themselves. I don't think they could have done it by themselves. But in kind of there's almost a symbiotic power struggle going on between big business and these unions. And it's gotten to the point where the two are just about, they're inseparable at this point. They're so intertied. And, here's an example, man. There was a news story, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 years ago, I don't know, but it really stuck with me. The teachers union in, I believe it was Washington State, right near Seattle, or in Seattle, they had a policy where the union took part of the dues and they put it towards helping students that were underprivileged. They didn't have money, they didn't have things, they couldn't buy books or coats and that kind of thing. So there was this fund that a teacher could go buy something and give it to that student, provide it for the student, and then submit the receipt to the union. What happened was a teacher had a student who couldn't afford a coat. So she went out and she bought a coat for that student, and when she submitted the receipt to the union told her that they would not reimburse that receipt because she bought the coat at Walmart. And since Walmart had successfully fought off the unions, a month or two before that, they would not honor any Walmart receipts. There's no way you'll convince me that is anything other than a power grab. That's power. That has nothing to do with the worker. It was not about the kids. That was about a union power struggle against a company, and that's it. So, there's millions of examples like that. So, yeah, not all unions started out bad, and not all unions are currently bad. Some of the smaller unions, are there and actually trying to help protect workers, but I disagree. I don't think it's skilled labor that unions are helping. I think it's unskilled labor that unions are helping to garner a wage that's above what their skill earns them. If you can hire any chimp to go into whatever company it is and tighten down the screws on this little widget that you're making, and basically anyone with zero skill can walk in there and do the job effectively after an hour of training. When those employees then unionize and they force that cost up and up and up, all it's doing is upping the cost of that product, that widget. And that's why companies have gone overseas, because unskilled labor should not be paid a skilled labor price. And as a result of that, or in conjunction with that, skilled labor, the cost went through the frickin' roof. Again, I've said this so many times. It used to be that people believed in an honest day's pay for an honest day's work, and that concept, that philosophy, is just gone now. It's been beaten to death by the unions. People may say that, but they don't believe it. If it's fair for you to make $7 an hour, if that's not enough for you to live on, then what you need to do is either get a second job or start going to school in some capacity and learning a more marketable skill. That's just how it should be done in a free market. Browbeating that company to the point that they have to up the cost of everything and continue to up the cost because the negotiation goes crazy, to the point that they say screw this and they go to India to start producing whatever it is, or Thailand. That's not helping any workers. That's not helping the unskilled workers in the long run either. All it's doing is making the U.S. economy exactly where it is right now. Crap. So, that's just my take on it, in the limited amount of time that we have here. So, there it is. I hope you respond to it, and I hope this is the point that you were trying to get to. Anyway, Urban Combat Survivor, signing off.